collaboration, and I look forward to see you again and again in Europe, Nordic countries, and Finland. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member of Parliament Skinari, for that address, of course, of yours. And I want to quickly, before we move on, take out a moment to thank those without whom today's event wouldn't have been possible. Our partners, sponsors, Adani, SPS Construction India Private Limited, session partners, ACE Group, Bhutani, BLS, Granules, Insurance Deco, M3M, Molbio, Niramai, NSE, SPS Realty, Tourism Finance Corporation of India, Trident, NTPC, Bhago Mobility, HNS, state partners, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Rajasthan, Haryana, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. Institutional partners, Delhi Tourism and Transportation Development Corporation. International Film Festival, Delhi. Realty partner, Green Circle Homes, Ambala. And now let's quickly move on to our next panel. We are now going to take our focus a bit on the health sector once again. To discuss next in healthcare, we are very happy to be joined by an eminent panel comprising of Mr. Amit Kakar, Managing Partner and Head, Novo Holding in Asia Pacific. Could we please have you on stage, Mr. Kakar? Mr. Vikrant Shotriya is also joining us live, MD and Corporate VP for Novo, Nordisk, India. Mr. Vedam Ramprasad also joins us, CEO, Medgeno. And with us also for this panel is Mr. Ankit Modi, Chief Strategy Officer, Qure.AI. And to moderate this panel, we again have another very eminent speaker. I invite on stage Dr. Namit Choksi, CEO, 10 Health. Thank you very much for being with us today, Dr. Choksi, and thank you for doing the honors to moderate this next panel. Let's welcome them with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Uday, for that intro, and long but phenomenal day, and thank you to all the panelists for being here. Let me start this panel really by giving some context. The goal of this panel is to explore how AI-enhanced diagnostics, genomics-driven precision medicine, advanced cardiometabolic therapeutics, and scalable specialty care models are transforming healthcare innovation in India. Let me actually start with a very close mentor, Dr. Amit Kakar, and ask him, sir, what makes India such a powerful testbed for innovation in healthcare?
Namit, thank you. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be invited here with such esteemed audience. So Namit, both of us trained as medical doctors, me probably 30 years before you trained here. And one thing I realized was that necessity is the mother of invention. When we trained as doctors, access to even blood diagnostics and an X-ray was almost impossible. Absolutely. And the reason behind that was the affordability and the cost. When you go to a rural healthcare primary center, you do realize what we do require for basic primary diagnostics. And I think that's why India took on its own mantle to start developing its own technology. And a showcasing point of that is our generic drugs, which are today globally well known and recognized. And I'm seeing that technology evolve, whether it's in AI, it's in diagnostics, or genomics. We are coming up with homegrown solutions which are both cost affordable and accessible for our population. The second important part is the dynamic shift of our disease burden. So 30 years ago, we were battling more infectious diseases. Today, we are facing an onslaught of what we call it as chronic diseases or non-communicable or cardiometabolic diseases. So imagine that 68% of deaths today in our country are caused by these non-communicable diseases. 13% diabetics in our country, which is the second largest in the world. 44% people suffer from hypertension. So address that, we definitely need more cost-efficient, cost-effective, and easy-to-access solutions.
It's a great answer. And I hear the buzzwords, AI, access, X-rays. With that, actually, let me get to Ankit from Qure.AI. And one real big question for you is, how do you see AI-enabled diagnostics, accelerating decision-making within healthcare? And where do you see the biggest opportunities for AI and radiology here in India and in Asia?
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. India does around 500 million medical images every year. That's around 2 million medical images every day. And we hardly have 20,000 radiologists to read them. Now combine that with the fact that all over the world we are training new doctors, new specialists by around 2% every year, whereas imaging is increasing by 20% every year. So there is already a huge gap between experts versus the volume of work, and that gap itself is increasing by 18% year on year. So that's a huge gap, and that's where AI kicks in, especially in a country like India where this lack of radiology expertise in terms of the ratio with population is much, much severe. AI can play a great leveler in the sense that if you look at, if you had to visit a new city 20 years ago, you needed a guide to take you around the city. That's true. Today, with a smartphone and GPS on it, you can navigate the city on your own. So I feel AI in such systems would be the new GPS of healthcare, guiding healthcare workers wherever expertise is scarce.
New GPS of healthcare, very interesting. So I think the key takeaway here, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, is AI will not really replace doctors, but doctors using AI will in some ways precede over doctors not using AI, and then AI will help bridge gaps in healthcare access. Switching gears a little bit from AI to actually genomics, if I can ask Dr. Ramprasad a very similar question. How do you think genomics and precision diagnostics are reshaping early detection of NCDs, and what breakthroughs would really have a greatest impact on population health?
Thanks, and thank you for calling me here. So I'll try to simplify this as much as possible. So our human body has roughly about 35 to 40 trillion cells.
Wow.
And in each cell, there are about 3 billion chemical entities, which we call DNA today. So that's a complexity. And how the body behaves or what diseases you get is everything written in this code. So predominant of the diseases, except few like accident or something like that, almost have the genetic component. So if you need to understand the disease process, or if you need to understand an individual is predisposed to certain disease, or how do you identify a disease much, much ahead to what the conventional methods are doing, you need to understand the code of life. So 10 years back, we knew this, that it's embedded in this code, but we didn't have the technology to decipher the code. So today, last 7 to 8 years, the technology has become very mature to what you call sequence the DNA. We have seen, almost everybody has seen this during the COVID. For the first time in the history of humankind, we have real-time sequenced the virus. We could identify it's a alpha, beta, delta virus and tell which is lethal. So same thing is happening in humans. You take rare diseases where we have about 90 million rare disease patients in India. About any given point of time, about 100 to 120,000 cancer patients every year. And as Dr. Amit mentioned, we have 25%, including pre-diabetics of the population being diabetic. So if you need to address these challenges, you need to diagnose and identify far ahead. You need to be very precise, which is possible by genomics. Today we call it as multi-omics approaches.
It's very helpful. So what I'm hearing is, again, like there's a way for us to decode really human health. But to Dr. Kakar's point, we've also figured out a way of making that affordable, which wasn't really the case. You mentioned pre-diabetes, which I think is a perfect gateway to the man of the hour, Mr. Shotriya, who's the CEO of Novo Nordisk India, and Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro are all buzzwords, but also they're really impacting, the way we kind of think of NCDs and prevention. So, if I may kind of, really dive a little bit into that, how do you think the next generation of cardiometabolic therapies are defining or redefining the standards of healthcare in India?
Thank you very much, and I really like it. You have made it really 360-degree, including health, in your program next.
Thank you, sir.
When it comes to the medicine, it has been always a try that medicine should be more precise, less toxic, and much more efficacious. And for that, many of the transformative platforms which have been used, and the effort is actually to switch from just a symptomatic treatment to disease-modifying treatment.
Disease-modifying.
From a preventive stage, from an angle of curative stage to preventive stage. Given that a population which is to the size of 100 million just in India, and then 250 million obese, and with central obesity, we call it visceral obesity, we have got 350 million people, urban population as much as 40%, like in hypertension, what Amit told, is actually obese. I think there was a need to get the new treatment. Treatment which is not only just taking care of the symptoms, but also disease modifying, tackling at multiple front. We had earlier in diabetes treatment which can probably control the blood sugar, right? Or you give insulin in terms of controlling the sugar. Now you have got medications with the help of this GLP-1 and combinations which are there, by which they affect and bring down the sugar and also reduces weight by having an effect on multiple organs.
Correct.
So it's not only one way, they actually have many other ways. And let me tell you, with urbanization, we call it epigenetics, we have only seen obesity growing. It's very difficult to see somebody having a belt size lower than what it is today, than what it was 5 years back, because it keeps on increasing. But when we see the data with the advent of these GLP-1 which has come, we have seen in a Gallup survey in the US that the obesity rate has reduced from 39.9% to 37%. So that's what is called as life altering and changing from just, you can say, disease control to really making a long-term impact. And that is what the new generation medications which should do in this cardiometabolic space. And these are the medications which not only reduces, you can say, diabetes, but reduces weight. They have been also very beneficial in terms of CVD, that means the heart problem, the kidney problem, and also for fatty liver, which we call MASH. So in whole, there is a lot which is happening in cardiometabolic space in terms of precision, in terms of higher accuracy, and with less and less side effect.
I think, sir, very well put. And, as a physician, I think of this really as a miracle drug, right? Like trying to address so many issues with really just one shot a week. Switching gears a little bit, if I can go back to you, Dr. Kakar, since you're an investor, and a physician, I would really love to learn from you, from really an investment, but also a physician lens, that what are the highest impact opportunities for really kind of investments and innovations to scale across India, but also Asia?
So that's always a dilemma for an investor because investors want to make money. And when you make money, you invest in hospitals or diagnostics where you have a lot of patient through flow, patients have to pay, and you get return on capital. But if I wear a hat of a physician, and I think we heard something very important today from Dr. Martin Daly earlier, who talked about the power of preventive health or the power of early health and how you can actually tap a disease before it becomes a chronic issue. And I think this is where I see a convergence of technology, clinical knowledge, and also affordability to start doing early stage preventive health. Namit, you and I talked about, how we can equip some of our primary care centers to be able to do preventive health. We heard the impact is going to be in trillions. I met somebody, one of your friends from O Health, who talked about technology that can enable the doctors to actually use tools like AI, simple measurements like diagnostics and genomics to tackle the disease early before it becomes a full-blown either diabetes, heart disease, or stroke, and then prevent that extra cost spent
to the system.
And the huge hit to the economy that brings in. So I think if I had to pick up one area, preventive health in a great primary healthcare setup would be my choice.
So very true. And I think, primary health is really that base of the pyramid, right? And if the foundations are really strong, I feel like you can build upon so much. One last question, maybe, to all the panelists, really, but if you have to put medical innovation or healthcare innovation overall here in India in maybe 3 words, what would those top 3 words currently be for you? I can guess yours. So, if you want to start first.
I would say combination of medicine plus the AI technology should come from India.
Okay, very well. Sir?
Maybe I'll
Yeah, so in this world of data, I would strongly recommend a national health data infrastructure or a framework which can capture all aspects of the data of an individual, keep it de-identified, protect the privacy, improve the interoperability, and also federate it so that it can be used by every institution and companies to come up with novel technologies, and also monitor the patients and individuals to alert them, to make them or to empower them to take control of the health.
And I think Honorable Prime Minister and our government is also really thinking about healthcare and data banks, right? As we think of Ayushman Bharat and we think of the data that government is trying to build, I think they're exactly in those directions. Ankit?
My 3 words would be necessity, not luxury. Medical innovation and AI for us is a necessity. It will play a great equalizer and democratize access to care for all of us.
Phenomenally said. Sir, last but not the least.
So I have to use my investor's hat again. I would say funding the growing ecosystem in India. Funding the new technologies, the new platforms, the new innovation. I think made in India, I think is a very, very important aspect for all of us. And I'll leave you with a thought, because I know we talk about this a lot. 70% of medical devices are still imported in India. 70%.
That's a lot.
And there is no reason why we shouldn't be changing that by making our own innovation here in this country with our own team and our own scientists.
Well, sir, make it India. And on that note, thank you once again for this, for joining me today. It was great. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all our speakers for being with us for that session. बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया आप सबको. All right. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, that moment